Hello, Dumelang, Sanbonani, South Africa. A very warm welcome to Expressions. This is definitely the place for you to air your views. I'm your host, Jacqueline Maphala. As you can see, we are on location in Cape Town, Philippi. We are putting a very important spotlight on the issue around gender-based violence, as well as violence as a whole in our communities. And our poll question is simply this: are we doing enough to fight violence in our communities, especially here in Philippi? We are actually outside the home of the Bukile family. Now, they have a tragic story to tell us because their daughter was a victim of femicide. Let's go inside and have a chat with them. Kwenzakaleni?
Kwakusebusuku. Kwasazongqongqozelwa yintoni enye ichomi yakhe ehlala ngapha ya. Yabisithi ichomi yakhe uSipokazi uhlatyiwe. Ke sisiya pha sifika uSipokazi elayishwe kwintoni kwi-forensic. Hayibo. Ulayishwe njani kwi-forensic? Qabe kusithiwa uhlatywe ngomnye ubhuti.
Gogo, uSipokazi bakaye yini kuwe?
uSipokazi ngumntaka dadewethu. uSipokazi uye wafumana ingozi ebehambe apha ephilile. Wafumana ingozi ngapha ngase-Woodbury. Owaqale kuthiwa wayehleli nomfana. Lo mfana wamsesa. Ndiyazi ke ndizayithetha ngalo ndandiyiva ngalo nam ngalaa mntana wezile. Basela kutyiwa lapho basela. Emveni koko kuthiwa kwathi xa kuthe rhatye wajika laa mfana wathi, yeyi, ndingubani igama lam. Wabe semdlafuza amathumbu la. Emnqumle umqala lo amqala wamthi junqu. Seleswelekile ngoku acholwe pha endleleni. Uthe emveni kuba egqiba umbulala, wambulala wamjijela, athatha ingubo wamjijela ngengubo womfaka emanzini. Kwakunetha imvula ngaloo mini, amanzi ephala engaka apha eyadini. Wamthatha womthi xovu emanzini, umthatha amaphambili la wonke. Wazothathwa ngule moto ke emoshali yasejele enenxeba elilapha ebelixelwa ngamadoda ebepha la belapha. Acaba wamqabela ngento esingayaziyo noba yintoni, yaziwa ngulaa mntu.
Manje nina as ifamily nizizwa kanjani?
Kondi right. Ndisiva kabuhlungu ngefamily yami.
Manje i-case ikuphi manje? I mean, how far i-case yini?
Sixoxa kusine ngolwesithathu. Case yakhe yokugqibela sinasho uba kuzokuthiwani ngolwesithathu.
And manje lo mfana lo obulele uSipokazi ukuphi manje?
Usejele lo ubulele uSipokazi ngoku.
Ungasitshala nje kancane ukuthi uSipokazi bomuntu onjani?
Ebengumuntu omhlophe. Umuntu omnjani omhlophe, umuntu obeligqirha.
Amaphoyisa bathini ngecase le yakaSipokazi?
Babane befika apho udetective lo uphethe elityala. Akho ndicaba especial.
Situation up, how would you describe it? Simo, life injani la?
Into eyenzekayo balahlwa etipini, so asiyazi noba isignifya ntoni okanye ichaza ntoni into babalahlwa etipini na. And the problem is that kuye kuthiwe mhlawumbi kwenziwe imatch, umzekelo ezinonkosi betshilo kwenziwe imatch, kuyiwe police station abanjwe, but nothing helps. Akhondi de stop the fact that women get killed almost every day, every week. And leyona nto ibuhlungu is the fact that if families are left behind, and leyona nto ibuhlungu is that most of the times they discover about ubulawa kwabantwana babo ku social media.
We felt Tina as organization families ziyafailwa ngamapolisa kakhulu.
And we know ukuthi Philippi is one of the crime capitals, right?
Yeah.
Here in South Africa.
Yeah.
How does that state, that condition affect young people here who are living here?
Sinento bana inoba yintoni esinoyenza inoba yeyiphi esingayenzanga. We've done campaigns, we've done workshop, yintoni le kanye because into esiqaphela is that age eziyezenzekelo zezizinto ngabantwana abancinci bathi ke xa bebabiza bathi ngama-2 Ks, which is ezi age zincinci, 13, 14, 15 up to 21 years. So I think if ever I think we've done a lot. We don't know uba mhlambi yintoni enokwenziwa. Yonke le nto yenzeka kwivicinity yasephilippi, yenzeka kwipark, kwindawo ekuthiwa zingcongolo. Omnye ulala kuleya ikona, omnye ulala kwenye, omnye ulala kwenye ikona. So we don't know noba nyhani, as we said, ba ngumntu mhlambi ozama usenda some message to the young ladies. We don't know, but ke siyabona nje ba ukuqhubeka.
And I think into eshotayo, we don't have good role models in our society. Into egcweleyo butywala. One of the problems esinayo is alcohol abuse. Abantwana abancinci that are abusing alcohol and drug abuse.
Expressions continues to be on the ground. We're still in Philippi, and right now we are at our second stop. Now, this particular location is very special because it was one of the cases that we covered on the show on 2020 of a mom who lost her daughter to senselessness again around gender-based violence. It's Expressions. We want to find out what's happened to the case. Does she feel that enough is being done to curb the issues that we are seeing here on the ground? So we're going to go inside and talk to her and find out how everything is going. Let's go. Mama, Philippi is one of the most dangerous places la in Cape Town. We are doing enough to prevent the crime and the violence in Zagalala.
Singacela uncediswa like amapolisa asoloke ekhona ejikeleza, siyayicela loo nto singabantu into yobana sincediswe ngoba abantwana bethu asikwazi ubanceda bahamba ngobusuku, asikwazi ubanceda, siyazama ubaqoqosha kona sikuba sikwazi uqeqesha siyaqeqesha. Enye into endizoyicela kuthiwa ukhona umntana ebenzakele naye phaa, yandivisa kabuhlungu laa nto, yathi xa ithethwayo kwathiwa ngakulaa ndawo ka-Amahle. Ingase sicele umthetho urhulumente asincedise akayibiyele laa ndawo ngoba yinto ecaca uba abantwana bethu bazawulahlwa phaa kulaa ndawo. Yandivisa kabuhlungu ke mna ngoba nathi xa ndiyive esifowunini kodwa ulo mntana usandubulawa ngoku ubulewe ngakulaa ndawo ka-Amahle, seyidirection ke ngoku yonto yobana abantwana babuyelewela kulaa ndawo.
Mama, bayoku-update ngecase
ngola lo mcuphi ebekwaphinde waza kule veki phele waza apha endlini ozandicacisela into yobana andazi uyambiza ke lo ungaphambili kunaye phaa ecourt into yobana uzawuphuma lizawuthathwa ngomnye ityala. Ebezezondicacisela ngaloo nto. So njengoba kwakuthiwe uzawuxoxa laa mfana ngelaa xesha besile kwakuthiwe uzawuxoxa ngo-Okthobha, ebezondicacisela into yobana limiselwe uMeyi, uzawuxoxa nge-4 kaMeyi. Kungona ke xa esitsho yena umcuphi lizawuqalisa uba malixoxwe. Siyazi ke nokuzaba njalo na.
Mama, impilo njani without Amahle?
Ayikho ntle into enake ayikho enye indlela endizokwenza ngayo, ayikho right. Akho nemini eyi-1 ke kuthiwa khange ndimcinge, senje uba kukho right ngaphandle kwakhe. Iwesi kaloku ngeyedwa, intombazana ngeyedwa phakathi kwabafana ababini. Andike ndilale ndithi namhlanje ndiyake ndirhale into yoba ingase ndingamcingi kodwa ndikwazi ukulala.
I'm sorry, sikhala nawe, sure. Yeah. Mama, amandla wakho wathola kuphi ukuthi ukwazi ukuqhubeka?
Isikakhulu mos abantu abebehamba apha ngabantu becawe. So ukhona umfundisi ndaya kulaa cawe yakhe, andifuna umbiza ngegama ngoba babebanintsi. So amandla ndiwafumana ecaweni. Ndinemini ke zongafuna ukuya kodwa ke xa ndithe naye ecaweni ndibuya ndirayithi enye nenye into ndiyilibele.
But of course, our poll question is, are we fighting? Are we doing enough to fight violence in our communities, especially here in Philippi? That's up to you to decide for yourself. Make sure you engage with us on all our social media platforms. We'll be back right after this. You're watching Expressions. Right now, I'm at the City of Cape Town building. I'm going to be speaking to the MMC of Safety and Security, JP Smith. Later on, I'm going to be speaking to a councillor as well as a station commander. Do you think that you are doing enough to fight violence in communities, especially communities such as Philippi?
Are we doing everything that we can? Yes. Are we doing everything that we would like? That's a very open-ended question. And it is all about how much core local government function you can set aside in order to take up a function that is essentially that of another sphere of government. Those answers are open-ended. I mean, you can effectively move towards trying to replicate the entire functionality of the South African police.
What is the way forward when you're having, community members who are saying there is no justice in this country, we are being failed, we're being let down by the authorities?
We're about 8,600 detectives short in South Africa. Your detectives sit with around 200 to 300, sometimes more dockets before them. So you know what your average workload looks like. You know how many stories per day you can realistically chase up and do something with. Now imagine having that many stories ahead of you. Realistically, you are going to get it through about 25 of them if you're a detective. The rest will be justice denied. And when justice is denied, two things happen. First, your public lose confidence in the criminal justice system, and secondly, your criminals become emboldened. And those emboldened criminals is what we see on our streets every day, with the increased prevalence of smash and grab, violent murder, sexual assault, public violence, metal theft, crimes which, if the conviction rates were more meaningful, there would be a more meaningful deterrent effort.
So in Philippi, we also picked up the fact that there's a protection fee that not only businesses have to pay, but normal, everyday working community members. Are you aware of that as the city? What is the solution, at least the methodology to addressing that particular problem?
One is the unwillingness of community to speak. They may speak to you in confidence or with concealed identities, but they're not going to mention names. To get affidavits out of people is extremely difficult. And the only way to challenge to fix that is through organized policing. You do not get your rank and file police to make meaningful impact on this. For this, you need specialized units. Every GBV case, every gang shooting, every one of these extortion cases, the CPF, the Community Police Forum in that community, must ask at every single meeting, what has happened to that case? Is there a conviction yet? And start keeping score and expose those scores.
What about using the army? Was that an effective strategy to tackling the crime, the violence, the gender-based violence that we're seeing, especially in communities like Philippi?
The military have one solution for problems. They are trained with one methodology available. Their job is to defend and, in the face of violence, to retaliate. The tools that they bring to a conflict are not tools that de-escalate the violence, is not mechanisms that is going to achieve convictions. In the long run, you should have a civilian police force that is looking after your citizens in a normalized society.
Are you doing enough to fight violence in the communities, especially in Philippi?
I think fighting crime or fighting the violence will never be enough as long as we still have people that are killed violently. And but where I would disagree when one would say we are not doing anything. I mean, I think now everyone will know that Nyanga is no longer the crime, the murder capital as it was used to be known.
What are the programs that you have on the ground, especially at Philippi?
We mobilized, we trained our members, we made them aware and understand that crime problem will never be solved by the police alone. And so therefore they must be involved.
What is the ratio of police to community members at Philippi?
I think if I'm not mistaken, it's 1 to 8, if I'm not mistaken, you see. And it's something that I will still need to verify.
Community members feel that they're being failed by the SAPS. What would you like to say to that kind of assertion?
I know for the fact my doors are open. And why am I saying my doors are open? I do receive complaints where people are not happy with the service, and of course I would expect, because we're not a perfect organization, and at all times I receive those complaints. I always ensure that the complainant becomes happy, and where if our members are found to have not done their work, we do take action.
Are you aware of the protection order?
I had numerous meetings with those shops that I was made aware that are being the targets, and unfortunately, in the meetings that I had with them, the outcomes were not the ones that I expected, where I would really see cooperation from the shop owners, and I think they are too scared even to cooperate, and we have arrested a few of those that are involved in extortion.
Maybe gender-based violence. What is your success rate in terms of getting convictions once you have identified a perpetrator and you've arrested them?
Between 5 and 20%.
If the perpetrator goes back to the community, the message they get now is that we are no longer safe. They will not speak up again. So I mean, how do we resolve some of those challenges?
Yes, people do lose a trust in the justice system, you see, and unfortunately, they do not see all other people. They see only the police. We are basically on the forefront. To the community, we want to work with them, and they must feel free to complain and to approach and to access us. This is their police station, and those police officials that are deployed there, they are their police officials, and they must also protect them.
Are you convinced as a young person? We'll be back right after this.
Right now, we're going to be speaking to the acting MEC of Community Safety to get answers, because as a show, we are on a quest to give you the answers that you're looking for. Let's go inside and speak to her. What are the solutions that you have in place to fight gender-based violence and violence in communities such as Philippi?
I think we do what we can with our communities. We do have LEAP officers that we deploy in our communities, and we're looking also at, with these gangs related, we also have an anti-gang unit, our neighborhood watches, but the best solution for me is the communities. If the community can stand together, our whole of society approach, I think that is the best way to combat gender-based violence as well as any gang activity in an area.
Let's talk a little bit more about the measures specifically to alleviate and fight violence on the ground coming from your office. What exactly are those measures?
There must be more alert, and just help everyone to take the communities back.
I want to find out, I mean, how can we curb the high crime, the high violence that we're seeing in Philippi?
We do have a jobs and employment plan, especially with our youth, throughout the Department of the Culture Affairs and Sport. And I think if we can empower the people or the community more, then it will also curb the violence rate.
If you could say something to community members who feel failed, who feel really disappointed, who feel that there is no justice for them, what would that be? What would you say to them?
I must say, unfortunately, we only have oversight over SABC. But I really think we must think out of the box, we must think differently and get our communities more involved, and they must come to us. We do have an open door policy. We do have people that they can contact, that we can act immediately. But for me, the community must empower themselves.
How would you describe Philippi?
Philippi, it's an area that is engulfed with crime. Violence is the order of the day. On a daily basis, we've seen cars being hijacked, people gunshot, and all of that. And us as councillors, we are trying as much as we can in terms of making sure that the area does remain at least safe, so that people can be able to conduct their business.
Are you doing enough to fight this violence that you're seeing here on the ground?
We do require the community itself to take ownership of their area and their safety, because currently, even now, we do as councillors, we're struggling to be able to get service delivered into the area, because even city officials themselves, they are scared of coming into the area. Now, if the ward councillor is not there to escort them, to provide that comfort, that they are comfortable. They simply refuse to come and work in the area.
How do you win this war?
It requires all of us as a community, both women and men, to take cognizance that we must respect each other in that space. And we must be champions of fighting gender-based violence, all of us concerned. It worries me that in my ward, over the past few years, we've heard about 3 deaths from one specific area where bodies are dumped and all of that. And look, one of the measures that we've tried is that we've said to the municipality, look, this is where the area that they are using, they are dumping bodies and all of that. Why can't we have that area developed? Because if you are saying it's a detention pond, there could be more that could be done so that you can either have a football field or anything of that sort. That will also eliminate where people are dumping these bodies and all of that. But that is not a deterring factor. Deterring factor is that we need to educate our kids as well about the dangers of alcohol abuse as well. And also I am challenging the taverns as well in the area. They must also play their part in terms of ensuring that they stick to the requirement of the law of their liquor license, of ensuring that if the liquor license says you must close at 10, you must close at 10. Then you must not supply people that are under the age of 18 alcohol.
Besifuna ukwazi nje ukuthi nina as a CPF nisebenzisana kanjani nomphakathi and namanye ama stakeholders like SABC yala.
Yilento ke thina ke CPF saqinisekisa into ethi phakathi kwethu nabahlali namapolisa masise intembeko. Siqinisekisa ukuthi abahlali xa bengonakalisekanga sizinto ethema emapoliseni siyazilandelela sibuye sithi emapoliseni isani ingxelo kwaba bantu kwenzela ukuthi ngomso nangomsomnye bawathemba amapolisa. Eyona ndingumceli mngeni kakhulu apha kuthi kungabikho kwezibane ezindleleni, kungabhalwa kwezitatu kakuhle, kungabikho kwendlela ingakumbi kule ndawo inamatyotyombe zinamatyotyombhe. Uyifumanisa ukuthi xa amapolisa yakhona afumana ingxaki kuba akakwazi ungena phakathi noba sekho into ethi ixelo ngabahlali afika ithuba seliphelile isinika ubunzima kuloo ndawo ke leyo. Kodwa ke ngoku into endiqiniseke ngayo into ethi ngokuthi ngoku kufonyishwe ii-neighborhood watches kwezi ndawo zonke yenye into leyo isincede kakhulu apha enyanga kuba ii-neighborhood watches zidlala indima enkulu kakhulu. Sithi abantu uxanduva lotshintsha iPhilippi ibe yile ndawo sifuna uba ibe yiyo.
As the spiritual leader here, as the reverend here, and the families that come to you, ngoba they are victims of this violence, how exactly do you help them?
The situation in Philippi is very bad in terms of the spiritual wellness of the community because of many factors, including crime, your gender-based violence and femicide cases, especially when it comes to that. So as a reverend that is residing in the area, almost every week we deal with such cases, different cases from different families. One of the major challenges that we face with when it comes to families of the victims is the after effect, after the funeral, after the events. So that's where we come in mainly. We have a group of leaders that work with families in different cases when requested to do so. One of the biggest mistakes we normally do as people that work with the community is to be visible during or before the burial. After, then we go silent. And we have noted that. Hence, we have said to all the religious leaders that are working with us, let us come together, let us form some sort of a forum to deal with the after effects.
What words of encouragement can you share with the community of Philippi just to uplift them?
We need to fight on. I know that looking at the statistics that is being revealed every day or looking at social media, it seems as if we're losing the battle. But I can assure you we are winning the battle. As I'm sitting here every day, we get good feedback from the community. As I sit in my office almost every day, we get parents coming in saying that your programs, guys, have saved my child from whatever that the child was involved in. So to the community of Philippi, don't give up. Let us come together, bring your solutions. Let us work together. Let the community rise up and reclaim the space. Let us come to the table. Let us work together. Let us talk. Let us not die in silence.
Philippi, do not give up. Please remain hopeful. If we all come together, if you all bring your efforts together, we'll be able to come with a solution to this issue of violence. From me, Jacqueline Maphala, from Philippi, Cape Town, thank you so much for watching. See you next week.